Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Welcome back to Namaste. So wonderful to be with you and to continue our discussion on immortality. Beyond this world, there is a world that I want, that I really want. And this is the key. This is where we're headed to explore our wanting. What is it that you really, really want? The supreme desire. Because whatever that is, it will either liberate or bind you. The 23rd Psalm, which I'm sure you all know, begins with these words: The Lord is my shepherd, there is nothing I shall want. There's nothing I shall want. Because our desire is like aiming at the target and letting that arrow fly toward that which we truly want. But those desires, the pulls that we have, that pull us away from that single desire. It's like the wind that blows us away from that target. But if we are to be completely wholehearted about achieving that single goal, about realizing the immortality of my soul, then there's only one thing I can do, only one place I can go, one single desire. And this is what will get me there. I want to read quickly a short paragraph that I think some of you are going to recognize. It says, Now is the last step certain. Now you stand an instant away from timelessness. Timelessness. Isn't that what your immortal self is? Timeless? And isn't this what we're longing for at the core of our being, to experience that timelessness? Now you're only a step away. Only a step away. And your single desire is what allows you to take that last step. Here can you but look forward. From this place, you can only look forward, never back again to see the world that you do not want. Here is the world that comes to take its place. As you unbind your mind from the little things the world set forth to keep you prisoner, unbind your mind. Value them not, and they will disappear. Esteem them, and they will seem real to you. I love that it's talking about looking forward, not looking back. So I have a quick test. I want to see if anyone can figure this out. If you know the answer to this, type it in your in the little chat box. What happened to Lot's wife? Anyone know? What happened to Lot's wife? I can see a couple of people typing, so I'm waiting to see who can get the answer. What happened to Lot's wife? What did she do and what happened to her? She turned to salt. That's right. Elaine, and she ruined back, run back. She turned to a pillar of salt. Several of you said that. Why? Because she looked back. Because she had a longing to see what she had left behind, what was, rather than what is. Do you remember yesterday we talked about this salt person that we've all become? All of these layers of salt around that eternal sun, brighter than 1,000 suns, your immortal self. And this is what happened to us, because like Lot's wife, and it's interesting that Lot's wife is never even named. She isn't given a name. All we know about her is that when they were leaving Sodom, they were told, only look forward. Now you can but look forward, as we just heard. And yet she decided to have a yearning and a longing for what was, and she looked back and turned into a pillar of salt. And the same is true for us. Our eternal, immortal nature is entombed, really, within this salt person that needs to do one thing: dissolve. If you want to experience the immortality of your soul, all we need to do is to continue to look forward into the light rather than look back into the past. That longing, that desire, this is the only thing. The world I see holds nothing that I want. And if I think that there is something that I want, what happens? I turn into a pillar of salt. I look back. And so we all become these salt people. And yet there is a longing within all of our hearts to do one thing, and that is to dissolve so that that eternal sun, brighter than 1,000 suns, can be revealed and we can flash into our eternal presence. That's what immortality is, flashing into your eternal presence. As we said yesterday, the body, the personality, these things can never attain immortality. For centuries or even thousands of years, alchemists and others have tried to find the answer to something that has no answer. And yet you have the answer. It's within you right now. We're looking at it right now. That your immortal soul, your immortal presence has nothing to do with the past. It has nothing to do with looking back. It has to do with one thing, allowing the eternal waves of an eternal ocean to wash over you, and in doing so, to dissolve that salt person. And finally, to reveal the sun at the core, who you really are, to be unleashed. This is the eternal, immortal self that you have always been. So yesterday we used this analogy of imagining that you're lying there right on the beach where the gentle waves of the ocean are coming in and out and in and out. And every time, as we use our breath to imagine this, a layer of that salt is dissolved, and then another layer, and then another layer. And if we can just continue with that meditation every day, there comes a moment, even when that salt is still present in a number of layers, but it's thin enough at this point where that sun, that eternal sun at the core of who you are, begins to shine forth, and you can see the shine, you can see the radiance, even through those layers of salt. And this is what happens. This is that eternal presence that we feel and that we know within ourselves and within another who we may be with, who themselves have dissolved. And when we're with one who is like that, without saying a word, in fact, words only get in the way. But when we're in their presence and we feel the heat and the fire of that sun, is there anything else? Literally, is there anything else? Or is it our eternal call to that eternal immortal self? Is that the only thing that we feel? Is that the only thing we really know? At that point, could we ever turn back? No. Because the fire and the heat of immortality has finally dawned, and there's nowhere for us to go but to continue to reveal. So this image of the salt person being dissolved to reveal that core, that sun, the fire at the very center of our being. We can use that image, and yet it's just an image, like any other thought, like any other concept, and even that must dissolve so that we can come with wholly empty hands. When we are truly wholly empty, this is that flash out instant, that holy instant of release into our eternal immortal nature. But just remember, it is your desire for that one thing to know, to dissolve, to radiate, not looking back at the world that still holds value and intrigue, because there is no intrigue or value in a world that is not. That's the key. Who you think you are, where you think you are, is not. And the quicker we become joyous and happy about that, the quicker we dissolve. So, that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Vicky and see what Vicky has to share about this Lot's wife turning into a pillar of salt. Actually, it was Vicky who reminded me of this yesterday. So thank you, Vicky.
Good morning, Jimmy. Welcome. Good morning, everybody. Well, I woke up with, and listening to you now, I'll try and put it together. I woke up with this realization that each of us has a trigger, whether it's a trigger, whether it's a word or a feeling, that is that longing for God, but it settles in us in a very particular personal way. Like Lot's wife wanted to look at the past. You have a longing to know the fire of God's love. Well, I realized I have the way that settles in me is I have this irresistible and it doesn't stop love of celebration. For me, God is celebration. It's just the way it is. And I woke up thinking, I don't care whatever happens. I gotta spend my life celebrating. Roof falls in, bodies fall apart. Who cares? It's like I just am called. I am ordained. And actually, I know we all are. We wouldn't be on this call because this is a big part of the party division that we all belong to. And Jimmy, you have it, and we recognize it in you. And you're a great Pied Piper for the party. But for me, the longing for God translates in my being as a knowing that I'm to be here living in celebration. It's a knowing, and I have to be true to it. No matter what seems to happen, I have to. I have to be true to it. This morning, now I'm not a cat person, I'm a dog person. I had dogs forever, and I learned about abiding through my dog Mo. I've learned many things through my dogs. But I have a cat, and I was supposed to have a cat because her mother was a feral and she was here. And I ended up with Munchkin now today, who is a male big cat. His name is Munchkin because he was little.
Huge.
Because, yes, he's huge. And cats kind of scare me because I don't know cat mentality, but like they can jump at any moment and they have very long, scratchy things, paws. Anyway, so I love Munchkin and we're good friends, but lately he's just taken to not leaving me alone. So last night, this morning, I woke up and he just plants himself right beside me on my bed the last few nights. But what I realized, now I've heard him purr before, but I didn't pay attention as well. Oh my gosh, all he does is purr. And it's like an engine. It's like a sound. In fact, I'm so not used to really tuning into it. I looked around and wondered what was in the room or outside the room that was making this noise. And I realized, oh my gosh, that's Munchkin purring. He knows he's supposed to be happy all the time. And he can't help but express it. And I thought, oh my gosh, if 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 we are an immortal being and that is our identity, the way that it registers and it hits me, if I want to be true to it, I have to be true to celebration, to happiness. That's what God's presence is, and that's how it sits in me. Otherwise, I'll turn to salt and I'll start, and maybe that's it. I want to find fade away, and but I feel like the more I stay present to celebrating, the more that salt image and mask starts dissolving around me. That's all I have to say. But each of us has an ordained experience or understanding of what that means to us personally. And that's the trigger that opens us to our soul, I feel. It keeps us on, keeps us steady. Thanks,
Absolutely.
Jimmy.
Yes, absolutely. And I love the image of that purring cat and looking around, wondering where that purring is coming from. Because it's like that feeling that we all have in the back or the front or the middle, but it's everywhere in our mind, and it's the purr of God. And yet we look around wondering, where is that coming from? It's coming from right here. It's coming from within each one of us. This is the call to our immortal self, to immortality. And you also mentioned, as you told us a few days ago, how we could actually hear your roof caving in as we were on the call. And the first thing I did to Vicky, because on the other side of this wall, there is a very small apartment, and ultimately I'm going to put a door right here when I'm done with my retreat so I can have both spaces. And one of the things that I had them do, and it's actually in process, is to put a hole in the ceiling and to put a skylight. So I wrote to Vicky and said, when the ceiling starts crashing in, just put in a skylight. Just let the light in. Don't think that this is a bad thing. This is just the light bursting through. And this is what's happening with each one of us. The light is bursting through. The ceiling, it may seem like the ceiling is falling down. It may seem like a scary thing, but it's not scary at all. It's the light itself. It's your own immortal nature that is beginning to shine through. So let it fall. Put up a skylight. Let the light in. I think that's really the teaching here. So thank you, Vicky. How about Teddy? Would you like to share anything?
Well, it's all coming tumbling down. The walls come tumbling down too at some point. And it's good. I mean, I think that's, the blockade we put up so that it keep us to keep somebody out and to keep somebody in. That's the idea of separation, and it's all got to come down. And in truth, it already has all come down.
Yes.
And we're just sort of seeing how we allowed it to come down.
The truth is, it never really went up.
Well, that's true. And when this is over, it would have never gone up. That's the way Jesus talks in the Course. And when he told me to use my words, you have to deal with the duality in people's minds. So you have to negate both sides, both the positive and negative. Neither one is true, because there is only reality. And that's the kind of sort of way we have to address the illusion. Like, none of this is real. So what we think is good, the best it's going to be is a shadow of what total good is. It's not even real. So, yeah, but the walls come tumbling down, and they are coming tumbling down. And, be of good cheer.
Yeah. Just let it fall, really. I mean, once again, the truth is the walls never went up except in our minds, except in our imagination. We built these walls, these houses, this world, this personality, this body, all of these things to encase myself in salt so that I'll never realize that eternal, immortal sun at the core of my being. But now that we know, now that we are excited about knowing, we dive into that infinite ocean that dissolves us, and we become one with that ocean. We're not a drop in the ocean. The ocean is but a drop within the truth of who I am. That's a
When I had the experience of all space and time beginning and ending, what I was told after that was, tell the people, my brothers, that they don't have to concern themselves with healing the separation. They just have to concern themselves with forgiving their brothers right here, right now, for what they think is going on. And the love that they will experience is going to be the love of God. And that's all we're responsible for. Forgiveness. Forgive your brother for what he did not do, so that we both can move along the trail as one.
forgiveness is the great solvent, dissolving. The solvent dissolves what we no longer need. And this world that we claim, we no longer need. We're no longer looking back at what was. We're holding still within what is, that eternal, immortal presence that has always been at the core of our being.